Hello, welcome to a new edition of the Right Wing Populist Podcast. I am the Right Wing Populist. So today I wanted to talk about the potential issue that the new Superman movie might be woke. That's not good. There's a new Superman movie coming out this week that James Gunn is directing. The trailers have looked really good. I was planning on seeing it next week with a buddy of mine. I was looking forward to it. Like I said, the trailers have looked really good. Didn't seem like there was any wokeness in it. It just seemed like sort of a typical superhero movie. So I was looking forward to it. But unfortunately, James Gunn did an interview with Variety, and he had some comments that has caused some conservatives and just your ordinary people, regardless of political ideology, it's caused some concern if you don't like woke movies. And I'm going to read to you exactly what Gunn said. Quote, I mean, Superman is the story of America, Gunn explained. An immigrant that came from other places and populated the country, but for me, it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost. Yes, it plays differently, but it's about human kindness, and obviously there will be jerks out there who are just not kind and will take it as offensive just because it's about kindness, but screw them, he said. He continued. Yes, it's about politics, but on another level, it's about morality. Do you never kill no matter what, which is what Superman believes, or do you have some balance, as Lois believes? It's really about their relationship and the way different opinions on basic moral beliefs can tear two people apart. End quote. So that last part is fine. If the movie's a moral dilemma between when a superhero should be able to kill someone, that's typical stuff. I mean, you'll see that in Spider-Man movies, Batman movies. That's typical superhero stuff. It's the first part of the quote that's a little concerning. When he says, "Oh, Superman's an immigrant from another planet." It's like, are you really trying to compare Superman to the immigration crisis at the border? Trying to compare Superman to illegal immigrants? Superman is an alien, an actual alien who comes from another fucking planet. Let's not compare him to fucking Manuel, okay? The dude who worked at Home Depot who crossed the border illegally. Let's not do that, okay? You could be totally fine with Manuel, and you could be totally fine with illegal immigration, but we don't need to make Superman an illegal immigrant. He's a sci-fi. This is a sci-fi superhero story of an alien who comes from another planet. I think Krypton's the name, and he lands in rural Kansas and is raised by two farmers. That's Superman. It's not about illegal immigration or about even immigration in general. I mean, it's stupid. Okay, it's about someone who has superpowers because he came from another planet. Okay, that's the important part. The important part isn't that he came from it. That's just how he has his powers. That's the justification. We don't need a superhero movie that's about Superman's immigration status. Okay, and that's what the movie's about, or at least it largely about, or that plays a significant role. And it's supposed to be commentary about the mean Trump administration's terrible immigration policies. The movie is gonna suck. And for those who don't know, when I use the word woke and other people use the word woke, oftentimes there's not an agreed upon definition. When I use the word woke, I'm simply just referring to left wing ideology. I mean, that's really what it means. Just a far left ideology, far left wing ideology. That's what woke really means. It's not about just being against racism. Oh, I'm woke. I'm against racism. Oh, congratulations. You're so brave. You're against racism. You're so brave. It's like, okay. That's not really what it is. It's a far left ideology that wants to put people into two separate categories. Either they are victimizers or they're victims. And if you're a white male, you're a victimizer. And if you're anything else, a straight white male, you're a victimizer. And if you're anything else, you're a victim. And that's fundamentally what woke is. They want woke is, they want people to get power not through merit, but through, you know, race and gender and whether or not you've been a victim. That's what it is. That's all woke is. It's a far left wing ideology that puts people into categories. That's when I use the word woke, that's what I'm referring to. And, Hollywood has had a problem with, let's be honest, with promoting a lot of woke nonsense. You saw that with Star Wars, the recent Star Wars movies to some degree. You have this woman character that could do no wrong. Do you think that was a coincidence? You're being very naive. Of course, they let the female lead be incapable of making any mistakes and, like, being able to use the Force and fight use a lightsaber without any practice. I mean, you think that's Mary Sue, that's what Rey was in the new Star Wars movies. If you think that was a coincidence, then you're being very naive. You've seen that with some of the Marvel movies, some woke messaging, in Ironheart, there's some stuff in there, a lot of trans characters. The minority characters are, like, amazing. They're smarter than all the white legacy counterparts like Tony Stark. Riri Williams is smarter than Tony Stark, I guess. This is something that Hollywood is just doing now, and maybe it's good for them financially. I'm not sure about it. Movie theater rates, attendance rates have been going down, so it's not clear to me the audience likes these woke movies, but maybe they do, and the Hollywood people know better than me. That's very possible. But I am concerned, like, we don't need a Superman movie that's obsessed about whether or not he's an illegal alien. I really hope that's not what this new Superman movie is about, but, the comments from Gunn, it's a little concerning. I mean, we don't Superman also, he's not I don't want Superman to be political, in one part because who cares? He's a fictional superhero, okay? He's for kids. Superman's really fundamentally for kids. So, on that level, I don't really care. But if we really wanna get into the politics of Superman is not left-wing coded, he's right-wing coded. I mean, what was the classic Superman line? "Truth, justice, and the American way?" The American way? Okay, it's the left that is often super critical of America. Not that the right doesn't have its criticisms of America either, but, Superman's always sort of been a representation of America and patriotism. At least the classic Superman. I'm not talking, I mean, there's versions of Superman I've heard in the '80s and '90s a little bit different, but the classic Superman was very patriotic. That was done purposefully. So that's much more right-wing coded than left-wing coded. We don't need a movie that promotes left-wing values. That's a Superman movie. Okay. Superman is meant to be, again, truth, justice, and the American way. It's supposed to represent the best American values. And I'm sorry, crossing the border illegally does not represent the best values of our country. And I know James Gunn, he used the word immigrant, not illegal immigrant, my friend. It's like, no one is really, well, very few people really care about legal immigration. There are some very far right people that do, don't get me wrong. People like Nick Fuentes, for example, which I know podcasts about. Check him out. But most people are okay with it. Fundamentally, most people are okay with legal immigration. Legal immigration. Illegal immigration is the problem, and that's not American. That's very anti-American. The American story of immigrants are people that got on a boat and came here legally through Ellis Island and other places. They came here legally. We don't want people to come here illegally. Okay, we want people to be documented. We want people to have their papers. We want people to be, you know, to be fully immersed in American society and not having to hide in the shadows. And the way to do that is to come here legally, not illegally. And, Superman, it's like, well, I hear people say, well, Superman came here illegally. It's like, okay, Superman's a fictional character who came from a fucking planet that doesn't exist, Krypton. Okay, that's just the rationale for why he has his superpowers. Okay, the important part is not here that he came here illegally. This is a kid's story. So that's just how he has his powers. That's the justification. That's the pretext from having these amazing powers. The story of Superman is fundamentally not about him being an immigrant from somewhere else. The story of Superman is that he has amazing powers and he chooses to do right instead of wrong because he had good parents on Earth that taught him about American values. Okay, American values. And coming here illegally, committing crime, is not an American value. I hate to break it to you, libtards. Okay. Again, truth, justice, and the American way. The American way is not coming here illegal. It's not breaking the rules. It's following the rules as long as they're just. And if you think having immigration rules and laws isn't just, that's fine, but you're in the vast minority. Most people think you should come here legally, not illegally. You should have your papers. You should have your documentation. And if this movie is, at least in part, meant to be a political criticism of the Trump administration and its immigration policies, yeah, the movie's going to suck. I'm going to see the movie, so I'll let you know. But if that's what the movie is, it's going to suck, and it'll be another reason why no one goes to movie theaters anymore. So hopefully that's not the case. Very quickly, I also want to touch on this new Epstein information that was released yesterday. The FBI, instead of the DOJ for some reason, released a statement saying that there is no Epstein list and that he definitely killed himself. It's like, okay, man, let's be honest. Epstein was probably working for Mossad, okay, working for Israel and Mossad. And the reason why they're releasing the statement now is because Bibi's about to visit the United States, visit the White House. I don't think that's a coincidence. If you think it's a coincidence, you're very naive, I would say. And this is disappointing. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't vote for Trump thinking he would expose everything about Epstein. It's not an issue I care that much about. But the Trump administration they've embarrassed themselves with how they've handled the Epstein stuff. I mean, how can you say that there's no client list and there's no documents when 2 months ago, Pam Bondi was saying she was going through documents, she was going through a clients list. Alina Habba, an attorney who worked for the Trump administration, said outright there was a clients list and that it was disgusting and they were going through it. How can there be no clients list now? And, maybe Epstein killed himself, maybe he didn't. That part's less interesting to me. But there's definitely a list, okay? He was definitely keeping dirt on high-profile people, and he was likely giving that dirt to Mossad, Israel. And probably and they would give it to the U.S. too, I'm sure. But there's a reason why when, he was originally prosecuted, I believe in 2007 in Florida, one of the prosecutors of the original Epstein case has come out and said that he was told he couldn't go too far with it because Epstein was intelligence. The intelligence was probably Israeli intelligence. Okay, he was probably working for Mossad. And the fact that the Trump administration is so cucked by Israel, they're running cover for, this pedophile, basically. It's pretty disgusting. Now, again, I didn't vote for Trump because I thought he would expose the Epstein stuff, so I'm not that bothered by it. But there's a lot of Trump supporters who are. You can just go on Twitter/X and you'll see. And, they've embarrassed themselves with how they've handled it. Kash Patel, Pam Blondie, Dan Bongino. These people have embarrassed themselves. They just want to be stars who go on Fox News, to get millions of views, and, be treated like heroes. They're not actually interested in doing the hard work of, gutting the deep state. They don't want to gut the deep state. They just want the deep state to work for them, and it's a disappointment. It's been one of the weaker parts of the new Trump administration, I will say that. Anyway, that's it for today's show. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.